each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains.
These workers, particularly live-in, are not guaranteed 8 hours a day with meal and rest breaks, not provided health insurance, sick pay, or other work benefits. Employers are not obligated to pay workers for last-minute cancellations or dismissals, which are dire consequences for low-wage domestic workers. The National Domestic Workers Alliance's survey found that 16% of the workers had been cheated out of wages. While these workers are eligible for state minimum wage, there is little oversight over wages. In addition, they are denied numerous protections that other workers, including their employers, take for granted, such as overtime, workers' compensation, and meal breaks. In 2006, Domestic Workers United and the Data Center issued the findings from a detailed survey of workers in New York. 200,000 domestic workers in New York enable smooth functioning and productivity for the professional sectors and are the invisible backbone of New York City's economy. 95% of domestic workers in New York are people of color and 93% are women. The survey sample represents the image of globalized care work, and respondents included women from 42 countries, of which 33% migrated because they were unable to support their family in their country of origin. 28% did not have other work options at their home in their homeland, and 35% had relatives and friends already employed in the United States.
So hi, my name is Christine Lewis and I am with Domestic Workers United. I am with Domestic Workers United because I need to be with Domestic Workers United. Why Domestic Workers United? It's a voice for the voiceless. Who are domestic workers? Domestic workers are nannies, housekeepers, house cleaners, dog walkers, anybody who works in the confine of a home. They work in isolation, subjected to long hours, and are underpaid. So I stand for those women who are what you call marginalized and disenfranchised. And we got a bill passed in 2010, August of 2010. And so I'm standing with these women for power, respect, fair labor standard, and the movement to end all exploitation.
The right to be protected against discrimination or the right to a living wage. It's all workers, anyone who works for a living. And as Pramila said, we know that historically not all workers were given those rights. It was just workers who were thought of as employees or waged workers. So domestic workers, along with agricultural workers and many other groups, have been excluded from the National Labor Relations Act. It's 35 million people that are excluded. They've also been excluded from minimum wage coverage under the Fair Labor Standards Act. And again, as Pramila said, there's a long history of struggle after the act was passed in '38. It took people, 36 years to get some coverage in 1974, but the struggle goes on. There's still groups of workers excluded. The example is home care workers.
You wonder if they could be pressured to publicize and push the rich people, because they need to be educated. I mean, they need to be educated in the sense of maybe shamed or in their face or something, because right now it's so silent.
Well, let's talk something facts here.
Yeah.
The thing is,
They won't do it, though.
New Jersey have laws
And
that govern the domestic workers.
Right.
Do they? No.
Who enforces them?
Right?
There aren't laws.
There aren't. The law that was passed by domestic workers is in New York. So this is where we are coming from.
Right.
So you've got to make that establishment first.
Right.
I think you made a good point earlier too with
Get
like
the people there.
Of unionization or just labor organizing in the form of worker centers, which deal with a lot of undocumented workers and and really informal work. Has that had any impact on it? First of all, I know it's really different because those workers are still are more visible. Like they have to come together, or they stand together by the road, or whatever they do. And domestic workers seems to me like the hardest people to organize. They're isolated in individual households, except for with groups like yours.
But even when the employer does know, because there's that lack of dignity and respect for the work that's being done, that's also a major cause of why they know they can get away with it. If they're doing their own tax information, they're very aware of what they need for them and their kids. Yeah. But so I think another good thing about that meeting is not only educating them, but getting them in a space where they can create dignity and respect for themselves, so that they can start to stand up
from
against
somebody,
the employer.
With a family in Livingston, and she was. They made her to wake up, like she went to her room around 8 or 9. If the family came like at midnight, they made her to wake up and serve the family dinner, or whoever came late, and clean up after them. And they were paid they were paid $500 a week, but she was basically, for us, she was a slave, but she didn't want to do anything about it. We want to talk to the house owners or everything, and she was afraid to lose the job.
My name is Barbara Young, and I'm a national organizer with National Domestic Workers Alliance, and I'm here at the Rutgers University today in a conference and talking about the work we do as organizers. My organization is 33 organizations in 14 states and 19 cities around the country, and we organize workers for dignity and respect and fair labor standards. As excluded workers from major labor laws, we seek to negotiate for workers' rights and also to advocate for Bill of Rights for workers around the country.
So because of the intimate nature of this job and the paramount importance of character, employers sometimes refer to domestic workers as, quote, one of the family. And we know how this claim has been used to extract additional work and to encourage employees to take leftovers and hand-me-downs rather than payment. Yet for domestic workers in Atlanta, the personal relationship that made this job so capricious and unpredictable could also be a source of power for domestic workers, because families became dependent upon individual workers because of the emotional ties and bonds of trust that had been forged. So domestic workers, who in many cases were considered essential to the management of the household, were able to use the power of loyalty to win demands and extract concessions from their employers.
To check out the conference blog and continue the conversation on the blog. We will be collecting the notes from the conversations at the roundtable. We will be synopsizing them and sending them out to everybody who was at the conference. We really do, as has been said again and again, we hope this is a first step, a chance to begin conversations, a chance to begin to establish networks, coalitions, ways, strategies, ideas about how to move forward together. The center and the other organizations that put together today's conference are available and there as a resource and support for continuing to have ongoing conversations.
It's our duty to fight! It's our duty to fight! It's our duty to win! It's our duty